Again, thank you all for joining us today. We are excited to talk a little bit with you about the value of earning your certification and basically what employers are expecting of you if you do. Now, I'm going to go ahead before we get in and I'm going to launch a poll here. So you should see a question pop up on your screen. We're curious, what are you most hoping to walk away with today? There are a couple of choices here of things that we've heard in the past. So take a minute, look through these different choices and select the one that most closely aligns to what you're really hoping to walk away with. And then, since I am the one presenting, we hopefully can get that question answered and make you feel more confident as you prepare for your exam. So take just a minute. Looks like we got just under half of you here. Give you guys a second to read through all the options. Excellent. I love seeing this data in real time. I really appreciate you guys answering that. All right. Anybody else want to ante in? Okay, we're going to close that poll down. And it looks like we've got everybody across the spectrum very interested, but with some of the biggest pieces on how do I know I'm ready to test and the best way to study for my exam. So we're going to touch on all of these topics today, but thank you for answering that. We're going to try to get your questions answered. So we're going to go through some key things about certification, but today's focus is really on what employers wish you knew, not only about getting a certification, but what they need for that to mean to you as a potential employee. Now, before we begin here at NHA, we want you to know that we are fully invested in the success for all of our candidates. And we're here to help ensure that no matter what your background or need, you feel confident and empowered to know your resources. And no matter where you are in your journey to eventually earn your NHA national certification. Helping to know what will be expected of you by your next employer is an important step in this process. So let's go ahead. I'm going to ask another quick question of you. Let me open up another poll here. Let's see. There we go. So how are you preparing to test? Basically, what is your affiliation? Did you set this up through an academic program? Are you testing through an employer-based program? Are you an individual who's not doing this through a school or employer? Or is there some other option here? And we're just kind of curious to see who's with us. A little bit more information again about you. So just take a quick minute. If there is someone who's posting in the other, please feel free to put that in the chat. We're just, again, wanting to know who's with us today. My gosh, we got almost everybody already. Anybody else want to ante in? Okay, I'm going to close this poll down. All right, so it looks like we have a pretty healthy showing of either those here through an academic program or those testing independently as an individual. We also have a few in some of those other categories too. So great, thank you so much for answering that. Just helps us understand who's with us today. So just to get you started, NHA does have 8 nationally accredited certifications, and they're broken into 2 core sections. So this 5 of the 8 are more on the practitioner side of healthcare. This includes medical assistant, phlebotomist, pharmacy technician, EKG, and patient care. We also do have 3 certifications more on an administrative side. So billing and coding, medical administrative assistant, and electronic health records. In addition, NHA does develop learning resources around these key objectives and professions, but today we're going to focus primarily on those accredited certifications, and again, specifically what employers are expecting of you. So let's jump in. The first insider's tip is to really understand what it means to be certified and that they're not all created equal. So having a certification represents more than just finishing a course or program. It actually shows you've done more. You've had your abilities, your skills and knowledge proven through an outside source. So you are evaluated at a national level when you take NHA's certification exam, and that can show that you've met the requirements to have a mastery of the skills and knowledge in your chosen field. Now, this is different than earning a certificate of completion. That shows you've completed usually training at an educational program. So think about earning your high school diploma, for example. That shows you've completed a program. You've done everything you need to meet a level of completion. A certification is earned through a national program, usually national agency, by passing an exam. Think about the difference of going to medical school and becoming a doctor, or nursing school and becoming a nurse. You aren't a nurse just because you pass nursing school. You have to pass an exam to earn your license. Same kind of an idea between a certificate and a certification. So when you're looking to get certified, it's always important to take note if it's an accredited one. But what does that really mean? Having an accredited certification like those with NHA means that what you're being tested on has been evaluated at an industry level. You're not just being tested on what we think you should know, but what the industry says you need to know. Not all certifications are accredited, so making sure yours is can make a big difference for a potential employer. So, NHA exams are accredited through the Institute for Credentialing Excellence. So, there's lots of different abbreviations here. In addition, they are recognized by the largest program accreditations. So, there's again lots of different icons and words, but what this really means is that you can feel confident in your decision to become NHA certified and to partner with NHA. So, we're really excited about that here. Now, I'm going to ask you guys another quick question. I mentioned all of our certifications, so I'm going to launch another quick poll. You will have to scroll to get all 8, but which of our certifications are you preparing for? If you're preparing for more than one, that's okay. Pick the one that's coming up the soonest. We're just kind of curious who's with us today. What are the certifications that are being represented? So give you guys a second to read through all that. Remember to scroll if you need to. Like we got almost everybody. And I know some people are with us who aren't necessarily testing today. That's okay. But go ahead and we're going to give you guys a second. I'm going to close this down. So it does look like we've got some pretty healthy representation for medical assisting, phlebotomy, billing and coding, even administrative assisting. We've got people represented from almost every certification that we offer. So thank you guys for being here. Excited to help you out with this. Let's go ahead and dive in a little bit on where you can find out more information on accreditation. So a quick search on any organization's website, like what we see here with NHA, should bring up the ability to see their accreditation status. Always do your research beforehand to make sure that the certification you're earning really stands for something in the industry. Some other information to know is that NHA is the largest healthcare worker certification organization in the industry. We have over 1 million certified candidates, closing on 1.5 million pretty soon. We're leading the industry in the resources we can provide to help you as you study, which I know was some of your big questions today. So, the next super tip on certification is understanding what employers think about it. Specifically, why is it important? So, why do employers want you to get certified? Well, NHA works with employers across the country, and we know that they value candidates who have an industry certification. And we see this in that those who do are more likely to get the job in the first place, often have a higher pay scale, better job security, even pathways for career advancement. Having your certification tells employers your skills are credible, that you have a set of abilities that have been proven, and this provides them with improved standards of care and safety, which is often what they're being evaluated by. So, this is really important. It brings a lot of value to them. For example, even though a job advertisement might say they're looking for a medical assistant, when they go in to screen applications, having your certification will make you stand out, even if it's not a requirement in the job posting. In fact, the most recent survey of employers across the country showed that 91% of employers said they would hire a candidate who has a certification over one who doesn't. That is an enormous percentage. 91% prefer certified candidates. We also know they don't only prefer you, but most require it. Here's some information per certification. You can see that for most roles, employers are expecting you to be certified. This is the percentages from employers that are expecting you to have your industry certification. Here's another view of just 4 of our credentials and what hiring managers have shared are the most important pieces when they screen applicants. You can see that if you're applying for a job, again, even if the posting doesn't say you have to have a certification, they are looking to see if you do, and that can make the difference on your first interview. To simplify all of those numbers, basically, on average, most healthcare employers highly encourage or require that their staff earn or have industry certifications, and most HR teams use if you do have a certification to screen resumes and applicants. So big percentages here that show the value of this for you. Now, we know that because as employers across the country feel that having a certification in your field, it actually means that you are better prepared for the job. It's part of why it's such a valuable thing for them. Okay, so now that you understand what they're thinking about certification, let's talk quick about what they've shared that they need from you as a potential employee with a certification. One of the things that we discovered from that employer survey was that the most important skills a candidate needed to show outside of their certification skills were professionalism, critical thinking, and dependability, and verbal communication. These are labeled as those soft skills, right? Those things not tied to the technical side of the job. Now, of these, it was identified that critical thinking and dependability were the most often missing in potential candidates. So when employers talk with NHA and we ask, what are you looking for in a candidate? And they say, are they certified? Soft skills and soft skills. NHA has some additional resources around developing these that you can look into, but this is important when you think about that first interview. Computer skills are also important. Even in just a few short years with the increase of telehealth, which went from 11% of visits to 46%, we know that it isn't going away anytime soon. So your ability to keep your professionalism and communication in virtual discussions is a huge benefit to an employer and can also help to enhance that patient experience. We've also seen some other trends on hiring and candidate skills. We know on average, employers are having a hard time locating qualified candidates, which is why having that certification can make such a big difference. There's also been an increase in employers reporting that healthcare employees have more responsibilities, and on average, they lack required EMR skills or EHR skills. This is true for all roles, but the gap was especially large and some more than others. So getting that industry certification or even stacking it with additional certifications can provide employers confidence that you are equipped to do the job at hand. They value this ability to meet these needs of that employer. And of those interviewed, the majority confirmed that they would increase pay when or if an employee earns a professional certification, which remember, that's different than like a certificate of completion. In a recent study, those who earned initial certifications on average had a 16% increase in earnings. So getting started is often the hardest part. An increase in pay is a great place to begin. So getting that first certification is a major step in your long-term success. But what does the data say for those who maybe look to stack additional certifications? Well, the research shows that healthcare is one of the most popular areas in which stacked certifications are found. So those who choose to build on those skills, not just continue in the same materials, but diversify, for example, having both a medical assistant and e-record certification, has shown to bring a higher benefit for income and probably the difference between getting a job and the job you want. And though those who earn a certification initially see a higher increase in pay, Those who stack certifications see an additional average of somewhere between 11 to 46% further increase in pay compared to those initial credentials. The data also reflected that most learners who stack certifications move on to further education, with 71% earning an associate's degree and 9% earning a bachelor's degree within 4 years of completing that certification. This is a first big step and a great road to a career in healthcare. Okay, so the industry is growing. You've picked a great field, and you know getting certified will help you move forward. But now what? How do you know what to do to move forward? And it's a big question. And that's where NHA can step in to help. So, depending on your program, your employer, your situation, you may be able to have NHA's study materials provided to you. You may already have them. You may purchase them on your own. But using these will be the best way to help you get ready for test day. So, I'm going to ask another quick poll here. Let me just go back here. Of those with us today, how many of you have already created your NHA candidate login? Just give you a quick minute to take a look. And it's okay, there's no wrong answer. Just curious to see kind of who's with us today. All right, got about half of you. Anybody else want to join in? Okay. Looks like we're slowing down. It's like the end of a popcorn bag, right? Once the kernels stop popping so fast. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. So it looks like the majority of you already have your login. For those who don't, no worries. We're going to talk a little bit about some best practices on that here in just a second. So thank you so much, guys. So when you go to set up your account, or if you already have one, again, we recommend doing this as soon as you can. There are a couple of best practices. So if possible, prior to exam day, we do recommend that your login be an email address that you will check frequently, not just while you're enrolled in an academic program, for example, but one that you'll check afterwards. Also, be sure you know what your password is. The password requirements are somewhat specific, but you don't want to get stuck in a testing center not able to test because you can't remember your password. The other key thing is to be sure that the name on your candidate account is your legal name first and last, whatever is on your government issued photo ID. This is what they will use on exam day to verify you. And if your account name doesn't match, then you may not be able to test. Now, all of this is, of course, depending on your program. There are some programs that have you set up through their platform. So please be sure that you check in with them before you make any major changes or do anything to your login. But these are just some key reminders, especially for those setting it up for the first time. Now, using the NHA study materials, which are based on the exam test plan itself, is a great way to help as you prepare. So this prep package includes an online study guide, quizzes, games, reporting, a series of practice tests, and a unique study tool called the focused review. So we're going to just highlight a couple of key pieces here. A quick note about our materials. On our website, you will find additional resources to help you, but we're going to kind of just highlight again some of these pieces. First is that each module or chapter, if you want to think about it, is broken into categories, sections, independent lessons, each one aligned to one core content area from the exam. Now, I want to be clear, this is not enough to study all by itself. This is not an academic program, right? So just depending on what you're doing, you either need that work experience or completion of your academic program. But what these do is they walk you through how NHA will talk to this material, bridge the gap between what you know and how we'll test you on it. Through this, you will have activities and access to games. There'll be checkpoints, Q&As, quizzes, and a total of 6 practice test attempts. You will also have access to glossaries of key terms, flashcards, even professionalism videos. These are a huge help in understanding what's expected of you in your new role, not just if you can do the job, but again, are you a good employee? Now, to help, NHA also has a flashcard app. So this is specific to flashcards. Once you have access to your study materials, if they have flashcards in them, you can download this for free, use your NHA login, and it will take you through all of the flashcards you have access to with fun ways to keep organized and help as you review. You can easily download this for Android or Apple, and there are how-tos on our website to show you, just depending on your device, what is best for whatever mobile you're using. Now, I mentioned practice tests. These are designed to look and feel as close to the exam itself as we can. You are taken through several different test versions with a total possible of 6 practice test attempts. Now, because you get a bunch of tries, does not mean you should take them all right away and memorize questions. These are designed to help you prepare and study for your exam. One of those big questions, how do I study? What's the best way? Well, following these, using these well, strategically, is really important. They're designed to follow that full test plan outline for all scored questions and provide you feedback, reporting, additional tools to help you study. Your program may turn on or off the instant feedback rationales. Some exams have these built in. We do suggest for you to try at least one practice test as close to a real exam feel as possible. If you have a practice test that's labeled as a baseline or a final, this will be a timed assessment to give you that experience. Not all prep packages are kind of created the same. So that's if you do have it labeled as one of those items. But the important thing here isn't that you take all of your practice tests, but that you study in between them. So though you get a total of 6, we really see that those who use at least the first 4 have a higher possibility of passing the exam if they take the time to study in between. It's not about the score you get. It's about growing that score from one test to the next. So one of the ways we can help you is with the focused review. This is another part of the prep package. It's tied to each practice test attempt, and it will help you focus in on those areas you haven't quite mastered yet. So it basically takes the information from your practice test and filters out stuff you got right and keeps in only those things that you need to continue to work on. It is filterable. It is printable. You can go back and highlight different areas. It isn't interactive like the study guide. It doesn't have the games and flashcards, but it can make a big difference doing that in between practice test time, that initial step, continued study and review to help increase that score from one step to the next. So all of this is provided through detailed reporting for you to see what you've done, where you've spent your time, how well you're doing across the modules. Now, we host other webinars where we talk more specifically on reporting and the best way to use these. We actually have them in an on-demand area from our website, from the resources dropdown where it says webinars and events. You can find our pre-recorded or previously recorded sessions right there in our resource center. Now, eligibility to test is a big question a lot of people get. How do you know if you're eligible? Well, right from your home screen of your NHA login, you do have a little option to find out if you're eligible. That's going to take you to a page that will take you to access to the candidate handbook, as well as a little mini quiz to find out their options for eligibility. In most cases, successfully completing your academic program is all you should need to be able to meet the minimum requirements to test. So for those of you in an academic program, typically you're all set. Now, just to define exactly what that means, the candidate handbook takes us a little bit further, but successfully completing an accredited or state recognized training program in the last 5 years, now this can also include military experience, is sufficient. Or, as we said, many of you here are independent, right? You might be doing this through work experience. So this pathway requires a full year of consistent work in the role within the last 3 years. So if you're not doing this through a pre-approved academic program of some kind or training program, you do need to have a year of work experience in the role. Now, no matter how you're studying, you now know that there are resources available to you. But how do we make sure your exam day is a good one? Well, we're going to look at this timeline. Start with your NHA login, right? We have to get you started there. We do recommend getting this set up. Make sure that you connect with your institution if you're doing this through a program to make sure that you're following their steps. They may have some specific steps for you to follow, but start as early as possible. If your program is providing resources, get access to those study materials as soon as you can. A recent survey of certification holders actually told us they'd wished they'd had those materials sooner so they could study better prior to testing. Now, on that, following good study habits is a really important part of this process. With the NHA materials, we recommend that you use the study guide first, using it to help you see what NHA is going to test you on, really doing that core learning. And then when the time is right, start taking those practice tests. These follow the full test plan, so taking them too soon may not help you, and using them to memorize questions isn't also really in your best interest because none of these questions are going to be on the actual exam. But the concepts, the process will be the same. That's where the focused review comes in. Use it and whatever materials you have, work experience, the focused review to study in between each assessment. We do recommend that you apply for your exam as early as is realistic. Best is at least 2 weeks before your exam date, if not sooner. You have to apply at least a week in advance to make sure everything is ready for exam day, so do get that done as soon as you can. Now, when you get closer to your exam, like around the day before, be sure you know your login information. You can't, we don't want you to get stuck in a testing center and not able to log in and therefore not able to test. So double check that you know all of these things. Some key reminders: show up early on exam day. Plan ahead for traffic and parking. You will be less stressed if you plan ahead, which means you'll be better at taking that test. And when you're ready, you can finally take that exam, earn that industry certification, and become NHA certified. All right, let's take another quick poll here. Hold on. All right, so I mentioned the NHA study materials. How many of you, or if you are or not, what are you using these resources? Have they been provided to you? Just kind of curious. These are a bunch of different options. So take a minute, read through these, and I'm curious who has them. Where are you with these study materials? Okay, I'll give you guys a second. I know there's a couple different options to read through. All right, got about half of you. Anybody else? Give you guys a moment. And other, if you want, let us know. Post that in the chat so we can sort of see where you're coming from. I'm going to close this down. There we go. I'm going to share this out. So it does look like the bulk of you do have or have been provided these materials, or many of you are planning to get them or maybe aren't sure. And that's okay. The study materials are not a requirement to test. That's not part of eligibility. But we know statistically those who use it well, have a much higher potential to pass the exam on that first attempt. All right, let's go ahead and keep going here. Thanks, guys, for answering that. The next thing that you need to know is what's expected of you once you are certified, right? Okay, I've just having that certification is not where it ends. We need to make sure that your potential employers know that you're certified and what options are available to you. So once you pass, keep going. We talked about stacking credentials with other certifications. Depending on your experience or program, you may already be eligible for that e-health record certification. So remember that these provide higher opportunities the more certifications you hold. NHA also has a job board on our website where employers across the country post jobs looking for candidates. There's a blog space, so there we go, where we post interview prep tools, job search tips, resume writing suggestions. We even host podcasts you can listen to. Beyond that, it's important to remember your certification doesn't last forever. You need to keep it updated and maintained by completing continuing education credits. Information on this is in our portal. You can upload completed coursework, or NHA does provide for many of our certifications content you can do through our portal. So it just kind of depends on what you need. Also, I talked a little bit about those skills developers right at the beginning. Purchasing these, completing them can actually count as credits towards that renewal. This includes online role plays, simulations, professionalism, teamwork, communication, lots of great skills that hit those key soft skills employers are looking for. Now, we do highly recommend that you create a LinkedIn profile or have some online presence where you can be sure to add your credentials. Employers will Google you, so make sure that they see that you're certified. Put them on your name in your email signature. Make sure they're in your resume. You do not want it to be missed that you are certified. Use every resource available to you. So if you're in an academic program, I bet you there's a career services team available to help you identify what's next. Don't forget to bookmark our website, favorite our website, so you can reference back. And then finally, of course, let us know. Once you've earned your certification, post the hashtag NHA certified to any social media platform. We are looking for your story. You can also do at NHA. We read these. We love hearing from you. For those of you looking to move on in your academic career, please know that several of our certifications do automatically provide college credit. This is through a program called ACE. We are working on more, so that's coming. But right now, if you sit and earn any of these 5 certifications, you do actually earn some college credit. So really exciting stuff there. To help, again, NHA has additional reminders we'll be emailing you, so that happens throughout your journey. We have how-tos available to you in our resource center, and also our blog space, job board, flashcard apps, all kinds of tools to help you with this process. So this is an example of just one of our candidate testimonials. We really do love hearing from you. Now, we also know that this is hard. Working in healthcare is hard, but it is also incredibly rewarding. And just from me and those of us here from NHA, we're proud of all of you for taking a really big first step on this road to a career. We know that you're not just changing your life. Please be aware you're changing the lives of those around you. They see and will see your hard work and dedication, and it will make a difference. Again, we've got lots of inspiring testimonials out on our YouTube channel. I can't wait to see yours once you've earned your certification. All right, I'm going to throw out one more big poll here. I'm going to just launch this as we continue to look ahead towards next year. And there's lots of things on here, so do scroll down. What would you like NHA to provide more resources on? Maybe a future webinar. Maybe I still have questions on this. We're constantly trying to develop things to help you. So please take a minute, let us know so that we can take your needs into account and really plan and build the stuff that helps you the best, right? We don't know if you don't tell us. So give us a minute here, read through these, and let us know. You can pick more than one if you want. We're curious kind of what the most valuable things might be for you. Give you guys just a second. Got about half of you there. Thank you for filling these out. Love seeing this in real time. Now, many of these, if you want to think about it, we have answered some of these questions already in previous webinars, and I think I'm going to show you where those are out on our website real quick. So if you are curious to learn more, I'm just going to post this here. So as you're answering that, I'm going to go ahead and close that pull down. Perfect. So if you look, this is our website right here where it says resources. It says webinars and events. And this is where registration for today was found, just in case you didn't know, or if somebody sent you this. Let's give it a second to load. You can see our upcoming webinars, which we don't yet have scheduled for 2024, and our on-demand. So here you can see all of those on-demand webinars. So some of these are for programs, right? How to prepare. So this one is just about studying. studying for your exam. Those that wanted more information on that, how do I prepare? This is going to be more about reporting, right? How do I get through that? How to explore our platform. This is another one we're going to be replacing with today's video. So lots and lots of great options here for you as you prepare for your exam. All right, so before we get into Q&A, I want to remind you that NHA will be sending out the recording of today to anyone who registered for today's session. And we are going to be posting in the chat box here in just a second a link. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Lauren. Open this up right now, fill it out. Anybody who does will be put into a raffle to win a $50 gift card. So please fill that out. I don't know about you, but I could use 50 bucks right now. So take a minute, fill that out, and we're going to go ahead and move to Q&A. So I'd love to refer back to the team. What kind of questions did we have coming into Q&A today, guys?
Okay, this is Mary. Laura, we had just a few that we could answer, but there was one that came up that I think it was a great question and we've never had it before. And it says, does NHA exams setting give opportunity to revisit a question and to cross-check questions and answers before submitting the exam?
That is a really, really great question. So in the exam itself, there is an option to flag a question. Now, you can also practice this experience in the practice tests if you have them. I want to make this really clear, though. A flagged question has not been submitted. So if you flag a question and you close your exam with a flagged question still active, it won't be a submitted question, so it will not be correct, right? A missing answer is an incorrect one. But you do have the opportunity to go back and review. I want to caution you on that as it is a timed exam. So a little bit of both. That's why those practice tests are so helpful. So one of the key things is if you do flag, be sure you go back and check it. You also want to be certain that you use the exam format to do so, not the back button in your browser. The back button in your browser on the test will kick you out. You don't want that. So if you're going to use the flagged question tool, practice it with the practice test if you can, but do try to answer each question to the best of your ability. You are provided or can be provided 2 sheets of scratch paper and a pencil. So if you do want to write down questions, you might want to double check. And then at the end, if there's time, go back. You can also do that. So you do have that opportunity and then submit the test at the end. But flagging a question is an option. We just want to make sure that you submit that final question before you submit the test. Mary, did that answer that question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Perfect. What other questions do we have?
There aren't really any questions that we weren't able to address on an individual basis.
Okay, awesome. So now, thank you everyone for being here. I know that there was some question I just saw in the chat on college credit. So if you do earn this certification, Credly is the program through ACE Credit. You'll be notified of this if this is if you earn that certification to get the transcript essentially for those transferable college credits. So I'm not sure if that answers that question that was posted there in the chat or not. All right. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and say thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today. Thank you for your time. We're going to stop the recording, but we'll stay on for a little bit and answer more questions if they come in. So again, thank you guys. Please open that survey, fill it out, get put into that raffle. We're excited to have you here, and thank you so much for your time.